as always, we bring you the best every week on our show. So are you ready for some football? Well, the Super Bowl has basically turned into another holiday. And as we head toward the big game, let's see what all the fuss is about.
During the big game, viewers saw a humorous commercial featuring a familiar celebrity talking about fiber and digestive health. The timing is notable, with the day after the big game often marking a return to normal routines. Here to offer some context is registered dietitian Sarah Ledmere. Sarah is the Chief Wellbeing and Sustainable Business Officer at WK Kellogg Company. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Okay, so for people that missed it, what is the big game, that big game commercial that people are talking about?
Yeah, 95% of Americans don't get enough fiber, yet about half of Americans think they are getting enough. And that's created something called a fiber gap. And we wanted to really help drive awareness. And what better way to do that than with the charm and humor of William Shatner and a brand like Raisin Bran that's a simple food that can make it easy and delicious to get the extra fiber you need every day.
Who does not love William Shatner? We love him. Why is the message so important, particularly after the big game today?
Yeah, timing is everything. And, people go through the big game and then the next day they want to start their routines. But those routines are falling short. On average, Americans are only getting about 15 grams of the 28 grams of fiber they need for the day. And those are people that are eating fruits and vegetables on a regular basis as well. And so we wanted to make sure we raised awareness of all of the foods that can bring fiber into your diet every day, especially grains. Grains are a natural source of fiber and come through in high fiber cereals to give you good gut health. Fiber really can come in lots of ways, but what cereal can do is bring a superpower of bringing that fiber to the foods and recipes you already make every day, giving yourself that extra boost. So if you think about a yogurt parfait, that is a great place to add in some high fiber cereals, as well as think about muffins or other baked goods that you want to just give a little more fiber to, like bran muffins or even egg muffins that you might be making to add a little bit of crunch. Now, snacking can be another great place. Frosted mini wheats mixed with cashews and a little dried fruit. I mean, nothing's better than an on-to-go snack like that that's going to give you your fiber. And if you want to add crunch to other maybe indulgent foods like a little scoop of ice cream at night, visit wkkellogg.com to learn more about how cereal makes eating well easy.
It's become one of the most popular stops on the PGA Tour. The WM Phoenix Open has once again graced the Valley of the Sun, where the beautiful winter weather of Scottsdale greeted tens of thousands of enthusiastic fans. The big names on hand were also a big draw, which included the likes of world number one Scottie Scheffler.
He must have hit it left. Oh, yeah, hit it way left. Did you see that manipulating the club face?
But it was past champion Hideki Matsuyama who began to emerge as the leader of the pack. By the third round, Scheffler began to make his move and was able to close up the gap with Matsuyama, who was maintaining his lead.
Out for the world's number one, Scottie is now within 4 shots of the lead.
But in the final round, Scheffler mounted a huge charge on the leader, but falling just short of catching Matsuyama. But after a disastrous first round, the comeback was definitely a highlight for the thousands on hand. But lurking in the shadows, Chris Gotterup is able to get into a playoff with Matsuyama after the leader stumbles on the final couple of holes. And it's Gotterup getting his 4th victory on the PGA Tour and his first win at the WM Phoenix Open.
Yeah, it's definitely different than my last couple. I went in with the chance for sure to start the day. Today I really wasn't expecting to be, I would have had to go shoot a really good round, which I did, but even during the back 9, I was like, all right, just keep climbing the board, try to get into a good spot. And, I knew I needed the birdie 18, and I had some would say maybe a little luck involved in that shot, but to come out on top and then do it in the way I did in the playoff is awesome.
So with a combination of great weather, a stout field, and the uniqueness of hole number 16, it's easy to see why this has become the hottest ticket in all of the PGA. From Scottsdale, Arizona, this is J.R. Ibarra for Coast to Coast.
Well, he's one of the most famous coaches of the NFL, and I had the pleasure of interviewing Coach Pete Carroll about his contributions off the field right here in California.
Pete Carroll's 9th season as head coach of the USC Trojans, he's already faced disappointing loss, leaving many California residents wondering what the future holds for the one-time champions. Well, as Pete Carroll learned a long time ago, it all depends on how you look at it.
I kind of live my life day to day thinking something good is just about to happen, so that's about as upbeat and positive as I can see it. I don't mean it to be that way. That's just the way I've kind of grown up.
Peter Clay Carroll grew up in a suburb of San Francisco, California. His father, Jim, was a liquor salesman, and his mother, Rita, a homemaker and an incurable optimist.
My mom was so supportive. I always look back to, and she always was kind of directing me towards the good things and the things that we could do. And I had such a great support system, and I think that kind of kept things in line for me.
Carroll earned his bachelor's degree in Northern California at Pacifica University, where his performance as starting free safety also earned him a spot on the All-Pacific Coast football team, twice. After college, Carroll spent a year trying out for the now-defunct World Football League in his hometown of San Francisco. He didn't make the team. Carroll realized that his athleticism would not be his ticket to success and decided to return to Pacifica University as an assistant coach while earning his master's degree in physical education. Then, in 1977, a 26-year-old Pete Carroll took on a defensive coaching job at the University of Arkansas under legendary head coach Lou Holtz. A year later, he headed to Iowa State to work with another coaching great, Earl Bruce, who Carroll followed to Ohio State the following year. After nearly 20 years in various assistant coaching positions, including stints in the NFL with Buffalo, Minnesota, and New York, in 1994, Carroll finally received his first NFL head coaching position for the New York Jets, an opportunity that proved disappointing. He was fired after only one season.
The occurrences have never knocked me down, and they've never kept me down, and I think that's all goes way back to the home.
Home, San Francisco, Carroll's next stop after being let go by New York. He moved back for 2 years and found success as an assistant with the 49ers. Carroll then spent 2 years as head coach in New England, where he still holds the franchise's second-best winning percentage. His next move would be life-changing. On December 15, 2000, Pete Carroll took the job that would make him a Southern California icon and a 2-time national champion, head coach of the USC Trojans. He'd found a way to channel his high energy and optimistic approach, creating an atmosphere for his players that would inspire success. Carroll describes the process.
An empowerment process that really is trying to build people up to become the best that they can. So all of that just doesn't have any room for negativity. It doesn't have any room for going, looking at the dark side of things. And so that's just kind of the environment and the culture that we've created here, and it's served us very well.
In 2001, Carroll found a way to bring his team's environment of hope to the streets of South Central Los Angeles with a program called A Better LA. It's a nonprofit committed to supporting Los Angeles communities and redirecting gang members from negative to positive activities and positive visions for their future.
I go in with people that, in the different areas that are familiar with the area so that we can meet people. Basically, we listen. More than anything, we listen, and hear out, what's going on and what's up, and just in our presence and as we hear things, we figure out ways that we might be able to connect this or that and make things move.
The program also brings young people from inner city neighborhoods to USC to meet the players and find encouragement to move into productive lifestyles and careers. Carroll says his players love it as much as the kids do.
And they look into the eyes of those kids, and obviously our kids feel kind of their situation a little bit, and they can they look back to when they were kids, and they see it. So they make a good effort to connect with them and bring a little bit of fun, a little bit of joy, and a little bit of hope that maybe someday they could be in a situation somewhat like this.
Pete Carroll is always scouting, if not for athletic prowess, then for motivated members of the community to help lead the effort to focus energies away from crime and gangs and on to improving their lives, which in many cases means avoiding a statistical probability of death or prison.
The great ones always are the ones with the greatest will and the greatest desire to prove who they are and to compete on a regular basis.
Competing to improve, be it on the field or on the streets. Pete Carroll just keeps looking ahead. Not just thinking something good is about to happen, but making it happen.
Hi, I'm Elise Thurston with Coast to Coast TV. Art Alexakis, the iconic frontman of the multi-platinum rock band Everclear, is opening up about his ongoing battle with relapsing multiple sclerosis, or MS, a diagnosis he received nearly a decade ago. Joining him today is his neurologist, Dr. Regina Berkovich, who will both talk here today about his journey. Can you share what led to your MS diagnosis and how you first learned something might be wrong?
I'd say about 15 years ago, I was having symptoms like balance issues, both on and off stage, fatigue, sensations in my skin, vision issues. And I ended up going to a doctor and had an MRI and was then diagnosed with MS about 10 years ago.
And Dr. Berkovich, you've worked closely with Art on managing his MS. Can you talk about the role treatment plays in helping people with relapsing MS?
Certainly. There are more than 20 options. And Tysabri, natalizumab, the medication that worked for Art by Biogen, who we're here with today, is a monthly infusion. It's approved for relapsing forms of MS, has shown efficacy in slowing MS progression, reducing risk of relapses, been associated with PML, progressive multifocal leukoencephalopathy, that if it's occur, may cause death or disability. That's why I talk to a doctor if you ever consider that treatment or any treatment, and you can get full information in the tysabri.com.
And Art, how has living with MS impacted your day-to-day life? And where can we go for more information?
Well, thanks for asking. It makes everything a little bit harder, but with the right diet, with physical therapy, I swim every day. I take care of myself emotionally and spiritually. And my treatment of Tysabri really works with my lifestyle. That I get a monthly infusion, and it's something that just helps me be able to do what I love to do. And if you want to know more about it, go to tysabri.com, tysabri.com.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, Art and Dr. Berkovich. It was great talking to you.
Thanks, Elise.
Thank you.
Dr. Jane Goodall's passing left many wondering what's next for conservation. Joining us is Azzedine Downs, the president and CEO of the International Fund for Animal Welfare, or IFA, a close friend and member of Jane's Council for Hope. He's here to share how we can carry her legacy forward. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
What do you believe is the most important part of Dr. Goodall's message?
We start with hope, and that hope is not just a feeling, it's a strategy for change. With the passing of someone as incredible as Jane, the question on my mind is whether people will listen to that message with such intensity as when she delivered it. So Jane asked me and the Council for Hope to turn that hope into action.
That's amazing. And for anyone who feels overwhelmed by climate anxiety, what does hope actually look like in action today?
People can feel overwhelmed because they want to take on every problem at once. Actions must be translated into small steps. So being hopeful and spreading the message of positivity is a step in the right direction. It's something that everyone can do. So the message is don't give up and believe that change is possible.
Animals are central to Dr. Goodall's legacy and to your own work. Why do you believe animals remain one of humanity's greatest sources of hope?
Many animals love unconditionally, and that's why humans have the relationship that they have with their pets. In fact, you may be surprised that Jane's favorite animal was her dog and not a chimpanzee. There's an innocence about wildlife. They have a place in nature just as humans do. So the connectivity we share with animals across the globe on so many levels should not be underestimated.
I totally agree. And can you share an example of how your work is creating real, measurable change on the ground?
You know, historically, people have been removed from the conservation equation. It's still a challenge to convince policymakers and scientists that conservation is about human behavior. So here at IFA, our mission is animals and people thriving together in the place that we call home. So for example, in Kenya, we support women's cooperatives, small business development, and education so that the people who live alongside wildlife actually see the economic benefit to protecting the animals. So it begins with respect and resources for those communities to live safely.
100%. And what's something that individuals can do to honor Dr. Goodall's legacy?
The one thing you can do is believe in the message of hope. Once you feel positive about the future, there are many small things that you can do. Go into nature, experience it. Nature has healing powers. You listen to the wind, gazing upon and listening to running water, listening to leaves rustling in the trees. These are healing. Right now, the world is chaotic and we need calm. Our planet can indeed protect us if we let it, and the world in which we live is not a patient place, but nature indeed is very patient.
Well, thank you so much for this message. Where can we go for more information?
Yes, you can find more at ifaw.org, ifaw.org, our website, and you can find lots of information about our work and what you can do to help. So thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Welcome back to Coast. I'm Lisa Spalla. An independent study shows U.S. poison centers save more than $3 billion annually by preventing unnecessary ER visits, reducing hospital stays, and helping families get immediate expert guidance. But funding for poison centers has declined in recent years. Joining us now to break it all down and to share what it means for communities is Richard Fogelson, CEO of America's Poison Centers and a volunteer firefighter. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you for having us, Lisa.
Thank you for being here. Can you first share what this new RAND study reveals about how U.S. poison centers save lives and healthcare costs?
Well, the study has a lot of great information. I think there's two noteworthy takeaways from the study. The first is that poison centers save the nation $3.1 billion annually. That's billion with a B, so it's a pretty significant savings. And this includes things like reduced hospitalizations, ER visits, length of stay reduction, and just saving lives. So it's a pretty substantial number. The second piece is that this network of poison centers provides the nation with a state-of-the-art surveillance system. It's in real time, and it monitors poisonings across the country, outbreaks, emerging threats, opioids, natural disasters. It's a really powerful tool used by our public health agencies like the CDC and the FDA.
Great. And how do the poison centers prevent unnecessary ER visits and reduce the strain in the entire healthcare system?
Yeah. So poison centers give every person in the United States direct, free, confidential access to some of the most highly trained healthcare providers in your region, right? And 90% of poisonings can be dealt with in the home, so you don't need to go to the hospital. So to your point, it really unburdens a burdened healthcare system. For just this part of our work, RAND studied that and found that poison centers save the nation $1.5 billion in avoided hospitalizations.
And why have we seen funding decline? And what could that mean for our communities?
First, there's no dispute that poison centers are a wise investment for the nation's infrastructure, right? RAND found that actually for every dollar invested in a poison center, you get returned $16. So that's a pretty amazing return from a healthcare value. Second is, even with this immense value, poison centers have experienced an 8% cut in funding, according to RAND, going all the way back to 2011, and that's just not sustainable.
Exactly. Where can people find out more information about all this?
There's a lot of different websites, as you can imagine, on the web, but poisonhelp.org is the official website of America's Poison Centers. And then also the 800 number, 1-800-222-1222, and you can get access to all of the services of the poison centers.
Thank you so much, Richard, for all that valuable information. And for Coast to Coast, I'm Lisa Spalla.
And that's it for us. If you missed any part of our show, you can go to our website. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. I'm your host, Heather Dawson. We'll see you next time. Tune in to Coast. I'm Heather Dawson.
And I'm Ava Lynn.
From the red carpet to your favorite travel destinations,
where lifestyle meets inspiration.